Hey everybody, welcome back to Clipboard Cars. Today we've got the 2025 Ford Bronco Raptor, and today we're also going to cover why it's not selling as good as Ford hoped. All right, so in this video, we are gonna cover 7 exterior features as well as 7 interior features. We'll show you a full wide open view of the vehicle, and then we'll take it for a drive and give you our impressions. First exterior feature we're gonna cover are the amber daytime running lights. They look super cool on the Bronco Raptor, as well as these 3 marker lights. These are here because of the actual width of the vehicle. It reaches a certain width that the DOT requires it because of how big this vehicle is. The second exterior feature we're going to cover are the 6 heat extraction vents at the front of the vehicle. So we've got one here, one there, one there, one there, and another one at the very far end there. Now the third exterior feature is more in particular to this Bronco right here next to me, and that's because it's colored in the shelter green. It is ultimately my favorite color I would get any Raptor product in. The fourth exterior feature I'm going to talk about are the extended fender flares. These are big fenders. So we got the front one here, it comes out really wide, and then you can see this back one here also comes out super wide, and it's so wide that they actually have this plastic guard here because they know those tires are going to kick up and chip the paint. Speaking of which, when you buy a Bronco Raptor, make sure you option it with the painted fenders. It looks terrible when they're not painted. All right, the next exterior feature I want to cover, and I would say is probably the most important one of this whole vehicle, and that's the suspension. This has the Haas 4.0 suspension setup, and it features the Fox 3.1 internal bypass live valve shocks. That is so much suspension for what this vehicle has. I can't even comprehend that that's in a production vehicle. The next exterior feature I want to cover are the side steps. They're more than just steps. This first part here, this is an actual rock slider that you can bounce off the rocks on the trails. This step is actually bolted to the rock slider, and this step is also really durable as well. It's got the whole Raptor treatment going on over here. The last feature we want to cover on the exterior are the taillights. These are specific to the Bronco Raptor, and I think these look super cool. All right, so the first interior feature we're going to talk about are the Ford Performance seats. These things are so good. They hug you, the bolstering's great, they're super comfortable for long driving. And on top of that, you got Raptor that's embossed in the Alcantara. They are heated, but they aren't cooled. That seems like a bit of a miss. However, the top and doors do come off, so I guess you really need the cooling. All right, the second interior feature we're gonna cover are the auxiliary switches. This Bronco Raptor comes with 6 auxiliary switches, so you can wire up anything from lights, winches, whatever you want to draw power to that you want to turn it on and off from the flick of a switch. They're right here, and they are just so satisfying to flick those switches. All right, so the third interior feature I want to cover is at the top of the dash here. There's all these buttons in here. Let's talk about what they do. So the first one here is the disconnect for the sway bar. So that way your suspension can get more travel when you're off-road. You only want to use this at low speeds because the vehicle can get pretty hard to control if you're at high speeds with it disconnected. I'm actually not even sure if Broncos will even let you disconnect at a high speed, but that's something we can figure out later. The next button is for your front locker, and the next button after that is for your rear locker. So that allows you to lock the differentials, so that way you can have all 4 wheels spin at the same time, and you don't have to worry about traction control or anything like that kicking in and killing the power to different wheels. You have full traction all the way around. Now this next button, I really like. This is their skid steer button. So it allows you to actually really pivot the vehicle using the brakes. You hit that button, and then you can actually almost rotate this vehicle like a tank. After that, traction control button, kill that, and then your hazards. The fourth interior feature I want to cover is the 12-inch touch display. This is a super great feature to have on this Bronco. It works really fast, has the sync Ford put right into it. A lot of manufacturers like to get really funky with their screen designs and all that kind of stuff. Ford kept it simple. It's literally an iPad almost, with the shape and the feel of it. The actual responsiveness to the touch, getting through the menus, it's very fast. Not to mention you have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. All right, so the next feature I want to talk about is this dial here in the center console. This is your GOAT mode switch. So you can twist this, and you can go into different modes for off-road terrains. You've got your 2 high, 4 high, 4 low, and 4 automatic. Now this particular Bronco Raptor has the optional Code Orange package, and that gets you the orange stitching on the steering wheel, the orange stripe, the orange stitching on the dash, orange accents on the vents, orange goat mode. Anywhere where you can get stitching, they're gonna put orange on it. The last interior feature we will cover is the top. Now this actually has the optional insulation for sound deadening, and that's bolted to the roof itself. And that helps a lot because these hard tops are made out of a thin corrugated material, and it does get loud on the road, going down the road. If you're gonna option this out, it's well worth it. Then you have your different suspension modes where you can change the valving of the shocks on the fly, and that's this button right here. Go ahead and hit that. You can do sport, off-road, and normal. Sport mode is probably your best one, right there in the middle. Over here to the left of the steering wheel, you have your steering button that gives you the kind of different feedback as far as the weighted feel of the steering. So you can hit that, you go sport, comfort, and normal. Again, sport I think is your best bet. Over here is the R button, and you hit that, and it's just like BMW M mode. It's just your presets that you can go in and set all the different settings, so you can hit that if you're like, so when you're on road, you're just doing all your normal stuff, and then as soon as you hit the off-road area that you want to go to and you have all your presets set to what you want, all you have to do is just hit that one button and everything goes to the way you want it for off-road use. All right, so we are driving the Bronco Raptor, and immediately you just feel so cool. You've got the heat extraction vents on the hood, just shooting right at you. You got the orange, the Code Orange package with the orange stripe here at the top. The boxy feel with the short windshield. This is just a very cool place to be. Now, let's go ahead and start talking about some specs. So the Bronco Raptor has a 3-liter twin-turbo V6 engine, and it is cranking out 418 horsepower, 440 foot-pounds of torque. That's a pretty good number for an off-road vehicle of this size. I mean, you put your foot down, and this thing goes. The suspension is super soft, super floaty, and that could be a turnoff to some people for daily driving reasons, but man, if you're going off-road high speed, this is definitely the vehicle for you. So that powertrain is mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission. Honestly, with a 10-speed transmission, I would think it would get better fuel economy than it does, but it gets 15, 17 miles per gallon on a good day. There is one thing that I want to mention, and that is the steering radius of the Bronco in general, and the Bronco Raptor. And that is, it's unbeatable. I think this is the tightest turning radius you can get in an off-road vehicle. So the Bronco Raptor has 4 exhaust modes for different levels of how loud you want to be. The first one is quiet mode, so that's when you're waking up in the morning going to work. You can keep this thing nice and quiet. Then there's normal mode, which is just regular V6 noises. Then you have sport mode, which gets it a little bit louder, a little more poppy on the exhaust too. And then you have full on, the butterfly valves are all the way open, Baja mode, and that lets this V6 just say anything it wants to say as loud as it wants. So to go with those horsepower and torque figures, you're looking at a 5.6 0 to 60 time. Not bad for something that's really kind of more meant to be just quick off-road. Like the actual like off the line isn't as important as just maintaining good speed when you're off-road. That's pretty good. I don't really know if that was 5.6 seconds or not, but definitely felt a long lag for those turbos to kick in. But once they hit, we were going. When you're off-road with this Bronco and you really want to kind of get a good feel of what's around you, there are so many cameras on this vehicle that help spot obstacles for you and help assist you to help see what's going on around you. If you're by yourself, which I don't recommend doing off-road, you at least have that assistance. All right, so let's talk about the weird thing about the Bronco Raptor, because on paper, this is about as good as it gets for an off-road vehicle. It's kind of puzzling as to why it's not just flying off the shelves. Now, when it first hit the market, people were buying them, dealerships were marking them up like crazy, and they were selling, but now they've really just leveled off to the point where dealers are struggling to get rid of them. They're working on whatever incentives they can get to get people to buy these things. And I have a couple of theories when it comes to this. The first one being that the Raptor F-150 exists. It's a lower price point to get into an F-150 Raptor. Obviously, before options and stuff, they end up costing about the same. But even at the same price, I think a lot more people are more interested in the F-150 Raptor than the Bronco Raptor. And there's a couple of reasons for that as well. And the first one being, some people just want the status of having a Raptor and all the luxury that comes along with it for a daily driver. When you have a Bronco, obviously the roof is removable, the doors are removable, and once you do that for the first time, you're kind of prone to leaks and stuff happening. Not saying it will happen, but nobody's perfect. Jeep can't get it right. Ford, they're doing a really good job with their hardtops, but it's never going to be a perfect reseal. The other theory that I have is when Ford introduced the Bronco Raptor and had that high output twin turbo V6 cranking out all that power and speed, it left Jeep to do the one thing they know best, and that's to throw a Hemi in the Wrangler. So yeah, when you have the 392 Wrangler exist, and it's also at a cheaper price point, I wouldn't say cheaper, they're about the same price. A lot of people see that it has a V8, and people want to gravitate towards that over a twin turbo V6. There's nothing wrong with this twin turbo V6. To dive back over to the Ford product offering is you have the Ranger Raptor that now exists, and that thing is legitimately good off-road. That is such a good balance of just everything with size, power, and again, just general driving dynamics that the Ranger Raptor has. It's really good. The Bronco Raptor, like I said, it's great off-road, but I think it's not quite as balanced as the Ranger Raptor. The other issue with having the Ranger Raptor exist is it's nearly half the price of this Bronco Raptor. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's not far off from that. So when it comes to the pricing of the Bronco Raptor, Ford has already started taking liberties of trying to get the price more competitive, and they've already dropped the price because it was starting at $90,000. Now it's down to just below $80,000. And it's a lot of money to swallow for what you would consider a weekend style vehicle. It's very easy to daily drive this vehicle. I'm not gonna lie, like this is super comfortable. The suspension on this is ridiculously good at just on-road manners. It's a hard pill for buyers to swallow because you've got the F-150 Raptor and you've got the Ranger Raptor, two very different price points, two very good off-road vehicles. And the Bronco, it makes sense that they made it, but man, that price is just hard to figure out why it is the way it is. Although, if you want that open feeling and you want Raptor performance, obviously this is it. You take the top off, you can pop the doors off, and just put your foot to the floor off-road, and I promise you, it is one of the coolest feelings. So with this Bronco that we're driving, as it's currently spec'd, which has basically every option, this thing is coming out at about $100,800. That's a lot of money for, like I said, a Bronco. But when you take into account, you've got the high output V6, you've got the Haas 4.0 suspension with Fox 3.1 live valve internal bypass shocks. Again, things that you wouldn't ever expect a production vehicle to have, this thing has, and it is so good with on-road and off-road manners. The specialized taillights, the specialized headlights. There's just so much cool going on with this Bronco Raptor that you're trying to justify that price tag, but at the same time, you're trying to justify the price tag. Now, I'm not trying to say negative things about the Bronco Raptor because it is a really good vehicle. And I do want to thank Akins Ford for providing this vehicle for us to test and figure out and look at. And yeah, if you guys are in the market for a Bronco Raptor or an F-150 Raptor, I think Akins Ford is actually the #1 dealership when it comes to selling Raptor products. They know their Raptors. I hope this video was informative for you guys on the Bronco Raptor. Feel free to subscribe to the channel, like this video, drop a comment down below. Do you think the Bronco Raptor is worth it, or would you rather go with a 392 Hemi or something that I'm not even thinking of?